Welcome to the Greatest Choice Podcast, challenging you to make greater choices.
Welcome, everybody. It's another episode, and thank you very much for listening and tuning in. We're very happy. As always, my name is Victor. I'm here with my brothers Gabriel,
Hey, yo.
Nilto,
Yep.
and Rodrigo.
Hey.
Gabe, you have an announcement for us, right? What people should do right now, since we're not selling anything, and we're only here from the goodness of our hearts to get the message of Jesus out to you guys. What do we ask in return?
All right, so we just asked everybody that's watching right now if you can hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we have episodes that's released. We hope that these episodes continue to bless you and those around you.
Let's go.
Awesome,
Amen,
guys.
man.
Amen. Amen. Folks, we're full of joy today, and we're going to talk about something that everybody, I feel like, at one point went through, which is criticism, right? We, in our lives, sometimes, because of fear of being criticized, we don't do the things that we're supposed to do. And we're kind of go through some of the things that we've been through, especially, every individual in this room. We're different backgrounds, as you guys know, different backgrounds, different ages, different stages in life. Nilto, does criticism play a part in what you do?
All the time. Yeah. So recently, I decided to go kind of full on with my marketing business. And in order for you to create something, for you to put out something into the world, you have to be comfortable and willing to be criticized. Because anytime something that's put out there, people have an opinion.
Yeah.
And you have to be mature enough to handle it in a way that it won't deter you from going, right? Because if I put something out and then the moment I get criticized, I start second guessing if what I'm doing is right or wrong, you're never going to make any progress. So you have to be willing to accept that it will happen, and you can't control where criticism comes from, what the criticism will be, but you can control how you will react to it. So that's...
Well, absolutely. I feel like criticism is just part of life. Some people will criticize you out of love. Some people are just going to criticize you because they can't do what you do. They hate us because they ain't us, right? Like we say that all the time. But Gabe, how about you? Do you go through it? Do you face criticism? Does it impact you in any way?
Oh, 100%. I think for me growing up, I was always a person that was bothered by what other people think of me, right? So whenever you're getting criticized, I feel like that affects you kind of in a different level. And now I'm learning to be like, dude, okay, like, don't let it get to you so much. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we allow it to affect the rest of our lives. Like, if somebody tells us, dude, you need to change this thing, change that, change this, it's like, oh my, I need to change my whole personality. I need to change everything about myself, everything that I do. It's like, yo, relax. Like, it's not that deep. Sometimes it's about taking what's good and what's bad. You just toss it out.
Right. This guy's criticized a lot. I know. Talk to me, man.
It's true, man. So growing up, you guys know from context of what happened in the group chat this week that ever since I was a little kid, I didn't really care what the general consensus was of me. Meaning like I just didn't really care about what most people thought about me because I always knew who I was and I just kind of did my own thing. But growing up, I grew to like one of the most important values I've had that my parents taught me, my brothers taught me, is valuing those who are closest to you, family, valuing your family. And sometimes you're going to be criticized by the people who are closest to you. And knowing how to deal with it, like you said, it goes a long way. Because when I was criticized by the people who were closest to me, I thought it didn't affect me. But then looking back, I'm like, damn, it affected me a lot. It affected me a lot. Not when it comes to work, because, I just kind of put my head down. This week we have combined 8 hours of sleep. But spiritually, spiritually, it definitely affected me. I got criticized, and I was like, "Hey, I'm fine. I didn't really care about it. It's not affecting me."
Yeah,
I'm
you,
just gonna-
you
it's-
push you
it's
push it to
whatever.
the side.
You
shove
push it to the side, and then I'm like, "Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
kind of feeling distant from God right now."
Well, and it's biblical actually that those around you, sometimes you cannot be the best version of yourself around those that you care the most, because they just don't see you that way. Jesus, he didn't perform a single miracle in Nazareth.
No, he did.
He did not.
He said
Left.
he said he didn't perform many miracles there, but he did some.
He did some. He did some. As far as I know, he didn't do any.
I
You
mean, I know
guys-
he mentioned about how when a prophet is never sent to
Yeah,
his own people.
yeah, because he left there, and then people are like, Jesus from Nazareth,
Right.
Like, this dude. that
You
we're
grew
playing-
up with us, man. You was playing soccer with us the other day. Him?
yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things. Sometimes you just gotta leave the environment that you're in, right, to be the best version of yourself, to be who you want to be, without the fear of being criticized. And then once you have results, you come back, and then people will respect you, because results speaks louder than words. Like, you gotta bring results to the table.
Go back to Jesus after he was resurrected,
Yeah,
his own brother.
of course.
Yep.
It's so again, it's one of those things that you can't run away from. It's always going to be there. You got to be convicted of what your purpose is, and you got to be convicted on what you do. Because if you are convicted and you have confidence in yourself, people's criticism is not going to impact you and prevent you from moving forward. Because here's the problem. Like, I like being criticized. I love it. Being criticized, in order for people to criticize me, first they have to listen to me. First they have to have an impression of me. So that means that somewhere, somehow, how these people are talking about me. I don't care, good or bad, talk about it, you know? And then you listen to what they say, and then you got to filter it out. In my case, what I do, I really don't let it impact me, but I'm not going to be the hypocrite and say, oh, I don't care what people's opinion of me is or are, because it does impact us.
Right.
Like, your opinion of yourself doesn't mean anything. It's what people perceive you to be. That's what matters.
Well, that's the thing, though. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to be careful not to allow that to affect us to such a high degree. Like, you can see me a different way, Rodrigo can see me a different way, and Noto as well. And now imagine everybody that you know. So if you try to pay attention to every single person, to the way that they think about you, you'll go crazy.
Well, but you got to be so. But my point is, you got to be comfortable with who you are and convict about what you are and what you do. Because here's the thing: if 10 people call you something, you're most likely that, right? If a lot of people tell you that you're something, you're most likely what they're saying.
Right.
But are you comfortable with that, and are you okay with it? Because if you are, then it doesn't matter.
Well, I
Right.
mean, also you gotta understand sometimes the narrative is gonna be put out there. Like, as you guys know, you had your reservations towards me, and you have also before we started this whole thing. Sometimes you're gonna be painted as a bad guy. Sometimes you're gonna be the villain in someone's story, and then someone's gonna go and tell that story. I chose to be quiet because I was like I said, didn't really care what most people thought about me. I'm just like, you know what? I know who I am, and that actually played a great favor for me.
Well, but because perceived opinions come into play. Like, you know, I can meet somebody today, and the first thing that we do, like, the speed of light travels way faster than the speed of sound. So even before the person opens their mouth, you're already judging them. You can say, oh, you know, I don't judge. Yeah, you do. Everybody judges. You're gonna look at that person. I look at sometimes how Gabe's dressed, and I'm like,
Hey,
Not
here's the
today,
thing, though.
not today.
Nah,
Today you're
today,
looking good.
Today you're looking good, man.
Just because I'm wearing the BYOB
Yes.
shirt.
yeah. You're looking good, man. Looking fit.
If you don't wear black, bro, you don't look good to them. That's
That's
what it is.
not true. That's not true.
That's what it
Coming here
is.
looking like a rainbow. Anyways, so it's a very thin line of, you know, what do you do with criticism? Who do you get criticism from?
That was the point that I was going to make, is that the two main things to consider in regards to criticism, one of them, like I said in the beginning, is how you react to it, but you have to assess where it's coming from. And going back to what you said, that when you're criticized about family or people that care about you, I think that's the sort of criticism that you have to take into account. And I'll say it from personal experience that in my marriage, for a long time, I was not someone who handled criticism well. And rather than like when Katie approached me and criticized me about a certain behavior of mine or something that I did, my automatic response was to escalate and then point something back at her. So rather than taking the criticism and being mature about it, I'll criticize her back, and then it just gets worse because now we're shouting at each other and we're going back to like all these things that happened in the past, and it's completely the wrong way of going about it. So after I've prayed on it and I took it into consideration, now I actually see differences because I took that criticism and I made something about it. So when one of the biggest signs of immaturity is when someone approaches you and says like, you need to change this about yourself, and it's valid. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that's just the way I am.
Well,
Just the way you are.
But hold on.
But to a point, let me complete my thought. There are things about our personality that need to change, that we need to develop. And sometimes it takes somebody to point it out in order for you to become aware of it and take steps to change it. Not to change who you are,
Your essence.
Your essence, exactly. People, you are yourself. But there are certain behaviors, and I'll give my example. Like I was always someone who was very emotional and a bit hot-tempered. So I would easily like snap and then get kind of aggressive. And that's just, I can't say that that's just the way Nilto is. Like I have to do something about it. And Katie would always say that like you need to chill. Like there are some times that you kind of lose control. And that's not something that for me to take hold of and be like, no, but that's just the way I am. Because that's a very immature thing to say. Right. So there are certain things that people will point out to you that you're not aware of, or sometimes you are, but it takes somebody to kind of touch on that subject for you to be like, well, yeah, I do need to make a change.
But here's the thing. I think when you are aware of something and then people point it out, that's when you kind of pay mind to. Because it's very hard for you to have a flaw that you're not aware of. Like you might be willfully blind to it, but you are aware. But there are things that people will not perceive as a quality, but it is a quality that you have.
But you want to know something, though? Here's the thing. Sometimes you are aware of it. When the person points it out, I feel like you're more inclined to actually take action on that change, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you are already aware of it.
Yeah.
But let's say, I'm very direct, and I have this tendency that when people tell me things, instead of telling you what you want to hear, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear from my perspective, right? And some people are like, oh, it's not your place to say that. Oh, it's not this. It's not that. You got to stop with this. You got to stop that. I was like, well, listen, dude, if it wasn't my place to say it, that person would have come to me. And if that person came to me and I do the disfavor of saying what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear, I'm being a hypocrite. I'm being an idiot, right? Because there's the worst kind of people are the people that try to please everybody. You got to have a stance for what you do, what you believe, and you got to be convicted of that. And then when people question who you are or your essence based on what you are, you can put your foot down. It's like, listen, I'm not going to change because this is who I am. Now, when being snappy, being emotional, those things are not qualities at all, right? There are things that we have that are not good. Like, hey, sometimes Mariana says, hey, listen, man, you're just not emotional at all. Like, you don't show your emotions towards me sometimes. Like, you got to change that. I know I have to change. Like, that's a valid thing because I know it's a flaw that I have. And her pointing it out is that confirmation.
Right.
It's like when people come to me, it's like, Victor, I'm struggling with money. Clients come to me, I'm struggling with money. Okay, let's make more money. Okay, you know what to do. You know what you need to do. You just don't want to do it. So it has to come, somebody from outside has to tell you what you already know just so you can do it. But my fear is that sometimes you're going to go in front of a crowd and you're going to, if you earn that stance, if you're in church, for example, you're part of the ministry, and then people come to criticize your preaching or whatever, right? Dude, don't change everything just because of a person criticizing you. Take that, meditate, pray about it, right? It's very important.
So, I mean, on this, like, kind of understanding both of your guys' points, I mean, what Nilto is saying is he received criticism from his wife.
Yeah.
So it's more like feedback because she knows you better than any other human here on earth.
Right.
Right? It's God, and then she knows you the most.
Mm-hmm.
sometimes even more than yourself. So he received criticism from someone who's like, yo, you got to fix this, man. This is wrong. Like, this isn't right. And then it's another thing when, like, for example, a client comes to you and seeks for advice. Like, they're giving you that opening for you to be honest and be how you are. It's another thing if, let's say, you went to the client, like Katie went to Nilto, you go to the client and you do that without them asking for it.
Yeah.
You have zero opening, zero authority to say anything over that person's life. Now, us, for example, we're best friends. I can come to you, you can come to me and be like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, what is wrong with you? Well, you were kind of brutal with each other, but we know how to give each other feedback so we can actually improve as people.
Yeah.
But you have to understand when you have an opening and when you don't.
Right.
And when clients come to you, when people come to you seeking for advice, you do. And then you break some eggs, man. You be honest.
But to the point that he was making before is that there will be instances where you receive unsolicited criticism, right? Depending on the positions that you're in. So, for example, when you talked about the example in ministry, for example, if someone criticizes you because of what you're doing, then it comes back to what we're talking about, the confidence that you should have in who you are and what you're doing. So when you're confident that you're doing something, especially if you're doing something in front of a crowd or in a place of authority,
Putting yourself out there.
you're putting yourself out there, and there's always going to be people criticizing because, like at church, for example, Gabe is the worship leader, right? So we have how many members to the ministry team?
The whole
Like
church.
25.
Yeah, at the very least, like 20, 25. Every person there probably has an idea of how Gabe could do something better. But I'm not in place as leader. Like, he was entrusted, and he needs to be confident that what he's doing is correct. He can take advice. What I commend him for is that they give opportunities for people to give their feedback, and then it's up to them to take into consideration what's valid and what's not. But never faltering from the fact that you are entrusted with that, and being confident that Gabe and what Gabe is doing is according to what God has for you.
And it's funny you say that because I wanted to go into something similar where before and it's something that I'm still working on, but I would take criticism almost as like a personal attack. And you can't do that, or else you'll go crazy. You'll feel overwhelmed. And it's like, dude, like the thing I said in the beginning, take criticism. Like, there could be good stuff in there, could be bad that you can just put to the side, and we move on. We have our purpose and what we're doing. And one thing that I do too, that I started doing, that actually I took it from Victor. If somebody comes, oh, we need to change this, like, okay, so what's the solution that we can think to it, right? So it's kind of like
Solution-based thinking.
Exactly. It's like, don't just bring the problem. Let's think about the solution as well, bro. This kid, man, he got into my head. But it's true words. Sometimes all people think about is like the bad. But it's like, okay, but let's actually think of something to solve the issue. Let's actually think of something that will improve in whatever you're doing. We can't just, oh, I don't like this. Okay.
Right.
What don't you like about it? And what can we do to change and work together to improve?
Dude, because here's the thing, man. I believe in the law of attraction. Okay? If all you think is about problems, guess what? More problems are going to keep coming.
We talked about that yesterday.
Right? But if you talk about solutions and you just focus on solutions, guess what's going to happen?
Solutions are going to come.
There you go, man. Y'all sleeping? Damn.
No?
So you gotta be positive. You gotta be understanding. And even if because sometimes, man, people are bad. The critics are coming as a personal attack. But you gotta have that shield up. You gotta have that shield up and be like, hey, man, nothing's gonna faze me. Like, I know what my purpose is. I know what I need to do. And I'm gonna get it done. Because that fear of rejection sometimes keeps you from achieving the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see here that I didn't say success. I said best version of yourself, because this has to be emphasized there, because what is success to you, it might not be success to me. I have different ambitions than you. You have a different vision of what success it is to you. Like, maybe today you're working 90 hours and you want to work 70 hours a day, and that will be success to you, right? Maybe you're an alcoholic and you want to stop drinking, and that will be success to you. And maybe you're not a Christian, you want to become a Christian, but you're afraid of what people would think of you. The reason I'm mentioning all these examples is because I used to go out, drink, party, do all these things. And for a long time, I felt like I needed to change, but two things kept me down. I didn't want to change my environment, and I was afraid of changing and becoming something different, and people think that I'm a hypocrite. And guess what? That happened. People criticize me. People come out and say, oh, look at that guy. Who are you to talk? Blah, 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 blah. They don't see the change in themselves, so they project their insecurities on you. And you, if you are insecure, guess what's going to happen? Those insecurities from them are going to stick onto you. You can't let that happen.
I think the conviction of your purpose is that's vital for everybody. You have to have your purpose in life, and you have to have that conviction, like, no, I'm going to do this. But another thing you also have to realize is, not like you specifically, but just anyone who's listening, the definition of insanity is you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you keep expecting different results. So sometimes when you get criticism, you have to, yes, self-assess and be like, okay, why is this person saying this? Am I going crazy? Have I been trying to do the same thing for years now? Nothing is changing. Like, we see examples of that all over the place. And then after you self-assess, you're like, okay, I'm not insane, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, maybe with a different strategy.
I think that's very important. Sometimes you don't have to throw away the plan. You just have to make adjustments to it.
Yep.
Right? I think Newton said one thing a few episodes ago, and it was something along the lines of, if I see you guys making millions doing something and I'm doing what I'm passionate about and I'm not making as much, it doesn't mean that I have to change everything that I'm doing just to make those $1 million. Like, don't chase the money alone, right? Find your purpose. Now, money is important.
Yeah.
Get
Like,
a piece for your niece, man.
Yeah, like money is important. I mean, it's obvious. Like, anybody that says to me, I don't care about money, dude, you're just saying this because you don't think you can make money. So
Right.
you
don't have it.
Yeah, you made excuses to yourself, because here's the thing: you can do what you love and still make money at the same time.
Dude, I want to clarify too that the Bible does not say that the root of all evil is money. It says that the root of all evil is the love for money.
Right.
Love for
Yeah.
money. And Gabe, expand on that. What is your interpretation of that?
So I think somebody who they're just too money centric, right? They think that money is their God. This is the thing that's going to get me everything. They toss God to the side, because here's the thing. God, he needs to be number one in your life. I think the moment where things change is when your job is number one, money is number one, like being successful is number one. No, the thing that needs to be number one at all times is God, is Jesus. Like, how's your relationship with him? What are you doing to grow in your relationship with him? And that goes for anything, man.
Yeah.
I think that we've talked about it before, but if anything comes before God, that ends up being idol. You cannot let money be an idol. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. It's not something that is like, this is the thing that's driving my life. Jesus is driving my life, and he's allowing me to make money, to bless other people, to bless my family, and to use it for his glory, for his kingdom.
Dude, and he's giving it to you.
Amen.
So here's what I just want people to realize, right? God gives you everything that you have. God will grant your wishes. He will. Sometimes people ask so much, and they go to church and they pray 24/7. Man, they're there. They're involved in ministry. They're helping the church. They're like, oh my God, these people are so involved, so much more involved than any of us here. Some of these people there. But then when it comes to their personal life and to their family, everything is a mess. And then from outside, imagine somebody's not a Christian. They're looking from the outside in, right? And they're like, okay, this person is an idiot. They keep praying, asking for things, but their life is miserable. The way I see it is that some people use the Bible and use Christianity as a crutch to not do what they need to do. And I think that's very important, because praying, being spiritually there is important, but many times over and over it's mentioned in the Bible that we have to put in the work.
Yeah, like faith and deeds, they go hand in hand, right?
You have to put in the work, and you have to work hard towards your objectives in life here, because God wants you to be prosperous.
I want to add to what you said. God will grant your wishes if your desires aren't in line for what he has in store for you.
Yes.
That's one thing very important, because
Yep.
if you're wishing, man, wish I could go to the club this weekend. He's not doesn't want you to go to the club.
No, right.
You know what
right.
I mean?
But here's the thing, Rodrigo. Think about it this way, man. If you, give yourself, how do you say it? if you just deny yourself completely and you put your faith in God, don't you think He's gonna open the doors and show you the way?
I do, but that's for us who are Christians. There are people who are listening who aren't Christians, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna pray." And
But listen to what I just said. If people open their heart, deny themselves, and put their faith in God, you don't have to be Christian to do that. You start being a Christian then when you do that. Because some people are Christians, but they didn't deny themselves, and they didn't open their heart.
Bro, Luke 9, verse 23, man. Deny yourself and pick up your cross every single day, bro.
I say it's every day.
Every single day.
It's every
It's-
day, man. It's
it's
every
not
day.
like
You don't have to be a Christian
not a
to
switch.
do that. Because I'll tell you this. A lot of times, so it took me a lot of faith to take to completely change my life around. Not just change my job, but changing who I am, in essence, who I am in person, right? Because I didn't want to talk about being Christian to people. I thought people would judge me, like, he's a Christian. Like, I didn't see it as a positive. When today, I think is the biggest thing about my brand, right? But then you think about other areas of your life and denying yourself, what does that mean? Sometimes you're doing well, and then you start thinking that's because of your own doing. That's something that I fight every single day. When things start going well, I start having ideas. This dude knows I have one new idea every single hour. He can't keep up with it. And then I'm like, Jesus, oh my God.
stresses me out.
It's so easy for you to think about that. Oh my God, I'm so smart. But dude, you got to understand, it's everything that you are, that you do, that you have it's Jesus. It's God providing it to you, man.
I swear, man. The other day we went to the gym. We could only go to the gym at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. That's like bum time. Like, come on, you should be working throughout the day. At least that's how we felt. We finish our workout. We go into the locker room. Just like 2 guys approach us like $1 billion business idea out of nowhere. We went.
I was naked.
We hit. We were swinging over there in the locker room. We were straight up swinging in where the guys approached us. When we were
we closed the deal.
we
in the
were
locker
gonna
room.
go. We were gonna go to the steam room, and then we went to the steam room. Took a shower. Took what, like 20 minutes, and they stayed in the locker room. And they're like, "Yo, can we go have lunch real quick? Let's go downstairs. Let's have lunch." Like they waited those 20 minutes for us to have that conversation
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Hey, man. And I mean, that's the thing that God does.
That's it.
That's like He provides opportunities for us, and it's like, are you going to take it? And I think something that's very fair to mention is that at times we might not take those opportunities because fear failure.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Nilton, why do you think we feel that fear? What makes us fear failure? That's a valid question for everyone to answer.
I think it's how we humans are wired. We have a fear of rejection.
Okay.
So that's how we are wired that way. So it's what we talk about, like being comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's putting yourself in that position. So you have to kind of take these daily leaps of faith in order for you to grow and for you to challenge yourself. And throughout that process, a lot of the things that maybe you were criticized about or that you were aware that needed to change, it starts to happen because you're becoming a better version of yourself.
Right.
So the in essence, we don't like to feel rejected.
It's an instinct, right?
It's an instinct, yeah.
Yeah.
We want to avoid those situations. And it goes against everything that we try to preach about in regards to growing. Because in order for you to grow, you have to kind of challenge yourself that way.
Bro, you like put a wall. If you just think about, oh, I'm about to start this new business, I have this new goal that I want to do. If you're just scared to do it because you're scared of failing, like you didn't even try. You didn't even put the effort for
And
it.
I want to say something here. I mean, it's not my story to say it, but one of the reasons we had to redo the intro of this podcast 4 times today because we were so overwhelmed with joy and laughing because about a month ago, I challenged Gabe and I was like, Gabe, I want you to take your license, okay, for you to work with us because we have an opportunity to bless people's lives by helping them make money and protect their money. And I was like, not a lot of people get to say that about their jobs. And I was like, I know you didn't even start studying, but I want you to set up a deadline and schedule the test. What happened this week, Gabe?
I passed, bro. I
Let's
passed.
go, man. Let's go.
No, not only
So-
did he pass, you gave him the deadline. He put him the deadline for
Yeah.
himself, February. Waited till what? The last
Yeah,
second.
so I think, let me tell a quick testimony. So, yes, I did that, right? I actually scheduled it for last week, Tuesday of last week. But as you know, I was going through just a rut. I was just down in the dumps, bro. I was just out of it. Like, things were just completely off. And then we even came to record an episode 2. I was just out of it. And you guys saw it, like, in my face. Victor says it all the time. As soon as I walk in the room, he's like, dude, what what is going on? You know what I'm saying? So we even had a conversation where he was like, dude, you have to set goals for yourself, right? And that's what I did that night. I did that. I sat down, wrote down the goals that I wanted to accomplish, like whether it was weekly, daily, monthly, this year, what I'm going to do. One of the goals was that I wanted to get my license February, and I got it February 28th at like 2:30 in the morning.
There you go, man. It's intentionality about what you do. You got to be intentional about everything you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Why did I want to bring this up, this example up, this testimony, dude? Because you had a real estate license before, and
Yep.
out of fear, it took you years to get the license.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So you evolved.
Yep.
Fear is no longer a part of it. You know what you can do, and you're setting those goals, and you're doing it, right? And for people in the audience, like Newton just said, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to program yourself to do it,
Yep.
okay? One of the things that we talked about today between ourselves is that we have 5 non-negotiable routines, right? It's reading and praying. Like that's one. We make it one because you read and then you pray. You got to read, you got to pray. That's non-negotiable. That's the most important thing.
Number one.
Number one. And then we got 4 other things related to, it could say physicality, but it's also physicality and mentality, which is drink a gallon of water a day, eat clean, take a progress photo, and work out. Like,
Work
So-
out and then take a progress.
yeah,
photo.
work out and then take a progress photo, right? Why do we do this? When you see a picture of yourself and you start seeing results, you're going to be motivated, okay? When you start to eat clean, you're going to have more energy, so your workout's going to become better because you're going to have more energy. And when you drink more water, it's scientifically proven that if you drink more water, your body will function better and you're going to prevent a ton of diseases, right? So why am I mentioning this to you? Do you think it's easy for us to get these 5 things done? I will say this week I got those 5 things done once. And then Nilton and Gabe called me out because this week was one of the busiest weeks of my life. Rodrigo was not exaggerating. We probably have about 8 hours combined of sleep this week. This hence the monsters here. Like this is what I've been leaving on. But because they called us out because we were going to the gym, we were eating clean, but guess what we were not doing?
Reading and praying.
And that's like the most important thing. So not just because we have a Christian podcast, don't think that we don't go through these battles. Like I go through these battles every day. I'm every single day we're trying to fight the urge of not doing the things that are uncomfortable for us, because going to the gym is a hobby for me. I love going to the gym, right? Eating clean became a habit. I eat clean regardless, right? My wife knows. She cooks. Thankfully, she cooks for me. The food is what it is.
Thank
and
you,
we eat it.
Mariana.
Yes. Thank you, Mariana.
Round of applause real quick. Let's go.
Yeah. And it became a habit, right? So much that when I go, last night was my mother-in-law's birthday, and we, there were cannolis there. I didn't resist. I ate a couple cannolis, right?
5.
No, that was just 2, just 2. But I'm conscious. I'm like, damn, it's bulk season. It's okay. My coach is probably listening to this. Deny yourself. How do you become accustomed to doing the things that you don't want to do? Some things that worked for me, it may not work for you. Okay, I am very against. I actually mentor a couple of people, and they always come to me and be like, "Hey, man, maybe I should just, you think I should wake up at 4:30 in the morning? I should do this. I should do that. I hear all these people saying on the internet that I should do this, do that. Like, dude, stop. Okay, let me give you a rundown of my day. Most days, my day starts at 12. Okay. Starts at 12 in the afternoon. I don't do anything in the morning. I don't book appointments. I don't do anything. It's my time. It's when I get together with Rodrigo, with my wife, and we talk. And usually I just want a moment for myself, think about my day,
You planned the day.
plan my day, concentrate. That's when I like to pray and read. It doesn't mean I do it every time, but that's what I like to do. But also I just want to think, meditate. That's important. Understand, where am I? What did I do yesterday? What do I need to do better? Okay. What are we gonna do moving forward? I think about my team. I think about what my team's struggles are, and I start thinking about what game. Start thinking about solutions,
Yep.
right? And then my day starts, and I'm more productive than a lot of people. So, and I don't wake up at 5 in the morning. That didn't work out for me for a long time. I tried to do that. Didn't work out for me. How I stay uncomfortable. I go to the gym and I put myself through hell in there. Okay? Like, it's not just about going to the gym. It's having intentionality. And Rodrigo and I have a goal now. My workouts used to take 2 hours. Now we do not rest. We go nonstop and we do the same load.
Just for context, we kind of do everything together. Because you say I go, and you're like, oh, Rodrigo, yeah, we go to the gym together. We do a lot of things together because we're building this agency.
Yeah.
Right, we're doing this thing.
And what we do is, all right, we finish the workout. Now we're gonna go to the steamer room, and we stay there for 10 minutes, but we keep increasing the temperature the whole time. Right? It's brutal there. When we go to the steamer room, everybody else walks out.
Bro, you can't breathe in there. You're just,
He's
it's
been
like-
there.
It's like, what is going on, dog?
He's been there. Nilton, you've been there, right?
Yeah, we want to come.
Yeah. So we make it brutal, and then right after we take a freezing shower. It's like, it's not a little bit of freezing water for 10 seconds. No, the whole shower is cold. Okay. Then we start our day. It's not comfortable, bro, to do any of the things that we do, but we got to do it. That way, I'm programming my body to be able to handle objections at work. So in our job, we handle objections all day long. People have their fears and they project their fears onto us. So we need to be able to break that. If you don't have that conviction about what you do and confidence, and you're not able to handle objections and stay in the uncomfortable zone, guess what's going to happen? You're going to not be able to close that client, because that client needs to believe in you, and you need to believe in what you do first, right? And that's for any area of your life. And then when you're used to being in the uncomfortable, every little thing that bothers you during the day automatically doesn't bother you anymore. It feels so small.
Like, dude, someone calls you, a client calls you with an objection. You're like, dude, I worked out today. I bench pressed like
Yeah, you're not going to tell the client that, but in our mind,
in your head, that
your
confidence
mind,
that
it's
you have,
like-
like, this is easy. The
Yeah.
rest of the day
it's easy.
becomes easy.
It becomes easy, and that's scientifically proved. Like, you push your body to the stress. The brain is lazy. The brain wants to be comfortable all the time. So you got to face those demons within yourself. Now, Nilton made a point. Explain your point why spirituality is also important.
Well, I think as we talk about the 5 pillars, I think they all work together. And spiritually speaking, when you arm yourself with God and you're full of the Holy Spirit, it also gives you the confidence that only God can give you to go about your day. So you can talk about the objections, you can talk about the struggles that you go on about your day that are bound to happen. But there are times that your spirit gets attacked, and there's, at least to me, I have a certain level of confidence that depends completely on God. That sometimes you do have that doubt, like, am I aligned with God's purpose? Should I be doing this? Am I being a good father? Am I being a good husband? And all these things kind of start.
A good brother-in-law.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, absolutely. So we all wear many hats, right? And what ends up happening is that you're always faltering somewhere, right? You got to keep this whole balance. And I think the only way, to me, that I am able to the best of my abilities, fulfill all of my duties is if I'm close to God, because He kind of is the one that keeps me grounded. And I see it in myself. Like, if you go through a little phase where I'm not praying or I'm not reading, like, that snappiness might come back.
Yeah, oh,
Or
yes.
I'm
We know.
my my vocabulary isn't the cleanest. So things happen, and you start to see it. And the same way that level of confidence that you build based on the discomfort that you put yourself through physically, spiritually speaking, it's also kind of another component. When you're close to God, you have that shield that things won't affect you. And when we talk about the criticism and the failure part, when you are aligned with your purpose and you're confident that, no, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is who I'm supposed to be, I'm following God's path, my purpose, then the criticism and this fear starts to kind of fade away.
Right.
And you're able to be the best version of yourself doing the things that you love.
There's also another thing that we talked about this week. Having interactions, especially in this line of business where we talk to so many people throughout the day, it's draining. It's draining. You were talking about it. Like it drains you, and you have to keep your spirit fed. So that's why, dude, thank you for talking about that today. That the number one thing that we have to have is the non-negotiable, the absolute non-negotiable, reading and praying. Because the Bible tells us when you read and when you pray, you're feeding your spirit. And when you have a full spirit, the energy that you're going to give out is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. And to give some context, a question that I asked Rodrigo, and I'm going to ask you too. Do you guys believe that every interaction with another human being is an exchange of energy?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So I'm very passionate about talking about God because it changed my life. So guess what? And when you're passionate about something, you tend to talk about it, right?
Yep.
And I started thinking about this, dude. When I start having self-doubt, that's when I know I was like, I need to feed my spirit, right? Because I can't have self-doubt. Like, my job is all based on me being confident, right? So if I start having self-doubt, there's no faking it nowadays, dude. You are who you are. Like, people will see through to you. Like, it's easy. So I was like, Rodrigo, dude, we got to take a step back. We're again going down that path of working 100 hours a day, right?
And not reading and praying.
And that's not good, man. That's going to bite us in the butt. Like, we need to fix that. And it's funny because then you both start, and I'm like, all right, this guy's.
Hey, man, it's fast, though.
Yeah, go to the gym.
You get criticized.
Oh, we going.
And then we start and then we do what Newton said. That the first thing, when you get criticized, what you do, you start saying the things that person is not doing. That's exactly what we do. Oh, yeah? We should pray? How about you going to the gym? Like, that's...
when he sent the message, I was at rehearsal with Gabe, and I just looked back because he sent the hashtag Nilton go to the gym.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I will not project.
Nah, bro. I was not going to let that slide. I was
I'm
like,
not
yo,
gonna be the-
if we're doing this hashtag, we're going to do one for reading and praying, bro.
We're going to do a hashtag for everything else.
For everything. But it goes back, dude.
Gabe, change your style.
Oh.
We're black.
Amen.
We're black all the time. We're black all the time. All right, so the thing is, for the core principles that we hold, the thing that needs to be the core of the core has to be Jesus. Has to be our relationship with God.
Right.
Because I felt it personally, and I shared it with you guys too. Like, he's the one that gives me peace. He's the one that, like, gives me strength, right? And if that's not 100%, if I'm not working on that, then you start to feel that self-doubt. I start to, like, the consistency starts to fade away. I don't want to do certain things, and even, like, loving people is hard. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like loving those that you even are like, oh man, that guy's kind of annoying. I don't know, and then you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to love people. No. It's like, we have to. Like, that's our. As Christians, we have to love people. We have to care for people, right? And we want to see people do well. We want to see other people around us live this life where they actually follow God, right? And they want to better themselves and put in solutions in their life that will set them up for success in the future.
And the more you pray, the more you attract people with the right frequency to your life to help you get there.
And the closer you get to God, too. So
Yeah.
the fear factor, and I think that's the most amazing thing about the relationship with God, that you can argue, for example, when you talk about success, right, like financially speaking, there are tons of people out there that are financially successful that are not Christians, that are atheists, that have no business with God whatsoever. But when you talk about any sort of problem that you may have, or any sort of success that you reach, when you have God as a reference, you never get too low and you never get too high, because you know that, like, I could be in the dumps, man. Like, I could be going through a rough time, but I have confidence in God, who is beyond me. So, like, it's beyond my skills. It's beyond my knowledge. I have God to count on when I'm at my lowest. And when I'm at my peak, like, I made it. I'm successful. God is still greater, because
that's when it's the hardest.
Exactly. Because we tend to kind of drift away from God because we think, all right, now I made it. I don't need God. But God got you there.
But
so
you-
that perspective of, I think this is what it means.
Yeah.
God is bigger than your highs and your lows. So like, no matter how low you are, how successful you think you are,
He's
God
bigger.
God is the man.
You know what's funny though? I think it's both spectrums from when you're super high and super low.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're super low, you also don't want to go after God. And sometimes you start to feel distant or you start to like sin.
Unworthy.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then you're like, oh man, I can't pray to God because
Right.
I feel like this. I can't. And when God's like, dude, you need to pray to me regardless.
And it's a snowball effect. Because I mean, I'll tell you if you guys can relate to it. Like there were times where like I would go 2 days without reading and praying, right? And then on the third day, I'm like, I haven't prayed for 2 days, and then you go for 3, and then you go for 5,
What's a
6,
week?
7, and what's a week? And then it becomes you become distant, and then it becomes
What's the saying that you use all the time, man?
what's
You know.
which one? Oh yeah,
Say it. Say
I gotta translate that. How do you
Say
translate
it. Just
it?
don't translate it. Just say it
O
in Portuguese.
que é peido pra quem tá cagado? But that's literally a terrible motto to live by. Right?
What's a fart for someone who
Is already pooped himself. Yeah, you already pooped yourself, man. Like what's a fart? You know?
what's a fart amidst diarrhea?
Exactly.
Wow, what is
Yeah.
it? It's
Which
going
is
in.
a terrible motto to live by. By
It's
the way,
not a good motto.
it's not. But
That
But it's
motto
a
cost me a lot of money, man.
but it's a reality, man. And when you talk about it in a negative aspect, like you go through a couple of days where you're just not being. And I'll say it like in your case, you have gone. And in my case too, you've gone a couple of days without reading, and the longer you go without reading, it becomes easier for you to not read because you're like, I'm not doing it. And it's the same thing with me, like in regards to going to the gym. I haven't gone a day, I haven't gone a 2. What's a whole week without going to the gym? And it's a terrible.
Well, but let's put it into comparison, right? It's the same thing. Do you
It
know
is.
why? Because if you just go to the gym one day, you're not going to see any results.
Right.
If you have one day, dude, don't expect God to come down and be like, hey, you're blessed.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen, man.
Hey,
Doesn't-
yo, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
you're good
fine.
to go, man.
You're good.
You reach one day. You see why I believe that those 5 pillars have to work together? Because if you have the consistency of going to the gym 5 days a week, you're going to be reading the Bible 5 days a week. If you make it 7 days a week, you're going to be reading the Bible because it's just how your body's used to habits, man. When you're a little kid, right, and you hated to brush your teeth, you didn't like it. But then because your parents forced you to do it every single day, it became a habit, and now you brush your teeth, and it's like something come, right? It's the same thing. Like when I become, Marina and I were talking about this. When we become parents, I'm gonna have my kid understand how taxes work, how like I'm gonna give them like a little bit of money, and I'm
Gotta
like,
be
all
his
right,
own bank.
10% goes to Jesus, okay? And this over here is taxes. So if you want to avoid taxes, what do you do, son? And he'd be like, Dad, I go to BYOB. Yep, there you go. I'm gonna teach my kids those things, man, because they're gonna understand. Like, they gotta be smart with your money. Why? Because why wouldn't I teach my kid that? And then
School
I'm gonna
isn't
say,
doing it.
of course, like they want people to be ignorant. They want people to not know. We're gonna give the knowledge. I want my kids to be like those type of kids that are gonna be dealing in school. Like, okay, you want my candy? All right, man. What you got?
Hey, yo, dealing in school.
Not
Hey.
drugs.
No,
Not
hey,
drugs.
hey,
Not
hey,
drugs.
yo.
Not drugs. Not drugs. You guys don't take it that way. My kid's gonna be an entrepreneur.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
an
we just had to
entrepreneur.
bring it
Don't
back.
say
I was
drugs.
like, yeah, no,
Don't say
that
Dealing what?
What?
Dealing what? Exactly. Dealing.
Dealing in school means a different thing in Brazil. Just
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Okay,
but
alright.
either way.
guys, keep that in mind. He came from Brazil.
But dealing, you see like how the connotation of things get taken away because of bad people.
Making deals in school.
Making deals in school,
There we
dealing
go.
in school is the same thing
No,
because
Making
no,
deals.
stop.
Same
Just
thing.
stop.
Not the same thing.
Just finish your point, please.
my kids
Dude is
will
trying to get
not-
us canceled,
My
man.
kids are not gonna be dealing drugs in school, man. That's
Good,
not
good,
gonna
good.
happen. Okay, there you go. We're just gonna
Good to
throw it
know.
out there.
Guys, one
They're
thing-
gonna be making deals in school because they're gonna be entrepreneurs. That's what
Finish
I'm
your
gonna teach
point,
them.
man.
I lost my point now,
Okay,
man.
So one thing I wanna touch upon because you guys have been talking and just been
Been
kind of absorbing everything over here. I want to jump back to fear of failure. One thing that I did that helped me, we were talking about it all the time when we were building this agency. Like we have the meetings. Dude, I swear, every time we have a meeting on a Saturday, someone in the team quits their main job. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what happened. Oh, Yeah, I believe in the strategy. Quit. Like, come on, man. You gotta have a transition period. I quit my job way before it was cool. You know,
Wow.
I quit my job. I quit my 9 to 5 way before it was cool. Okay, last year. But one of the things that actually helped me, you know, take that leap of faith that time in my life is I wrote down. It's funny because we talked about this week. I wrote down, like, what is the worst that could happen? Hold on. What is the worst thing that could happen? I declare bankruptcy. Whatever. I'm 20. I'll get rid of all my credit card debt. That's it. That's the worst thing that can happen because I can always work, make cash. Money's like, if you think money is a problem in your life, just go out and work. Just go out and have a solution-based thinking, and you'll find it. You'll be able to find it. But sometimes people, they're afraid to take a leap of faith because they're like, oh,
Because they're
my
putting their
life is gonna
faith in
change.
money.
They're putting their faith in money, and they're like, oh, what's the worst that can happen? They don't even know what the worst thing is going to happen.
Dude, I talked to this kid yesterday, and he'll listen to this, and hopefully it was slap him in the face. But he's so talented, super talented. Like, dude, I don't have that kind of talent. And he does not believe in himself. Because if he did, he would have been in a completely different situation.
Oh, my gosh.
They're putting faith in money. And I did it too. Like, I did it. It took months of meditation, praying. I had so many different signs of God. And Jesus gives you signs, man, and you don't see it. It's not like he's not giving you signs. If you're praying, if you're reading the Bible, he will give you signs. You need to be able to know if those signs are, what are they telling you, right? Guys, once I took that leap of faith, my life changed completely. It would have been so selfish of me to be here and not tell you guys what I did. Because I know a lot of people, you open Instagram nowadays and everybody's like, oh, become an entrepreneur, do this, do this.
Super successful.
I'm already going to tell you it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. You got to be willing to
show up to people's houses and stay there till 3 in the morning.
Yes, yes. You got to be willing to work hard. You got to be willing to, again, I don't know how I would have done it without Jesus. And because I have that faith that he's going to provide. But one thing that you said, Newton, I just remembered. I was trying to think. You mentioned something. There's a lot of millionaires out there that are not Christian.
Right.
How can you miss something that you don't know? You can, in the Bible, it doesn't say you can't accomplish things without God.
Right.
Right? But I guarantee you, if that person felt the love of Christ once, they would never be whole again.
Sorry, bro.
It's another bomb.
Okay? Because the path for Christians is harder because when we don't feel that presence of God in our lives, we know there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We're self-aware. So, because I know a lot of people are not Christians and they are very doing well financially and stuff. You know, deep down, you have an emptiness in your heart that you try to fill it with alcohol, parties, 100 friends in your house every single day.
Maybe more money.
Yeah, more money. There you go. Work harder. Let me put more hours. You're never satisfied with anything. You can't feel joy on anything. And you believe that that's a quality, but dude, it's that emptiness in your heart. It's because you're not feeling the presence of God.
Yeah, and you base off of your perception of these people. You're only seeing what they're posting, right? So their wins, right, and how much money they're making. But you don't know how their family is. You don't know if they have a relationship with their children, with his wife. You don't know if he's making a difference in his community. There's so many other layers to life that you can't automatically validate somebody. Okay, he made this much money. Okay, but like,
do you guys remember the
what did you have
conversation
to
had?
neglect in order for you to get to that point?
Yeah.
And when you're a Christian and you have a Christ-centered business and a life, which I commend you guys for, is there are non-negotiables that you're not willing to compromise in order for me to be a millionaire.
Right.
Yeah, chase it, man. Go be a millionaire. But make sure that you're not neglecting these things in your life because all that money is not going to pay it back if your wife resents you, if you have no relationship with your kids. So there's a lot of components that when you have a Christ-centered life, you keep into consideration, and those are your priorities.
I don't know if you guys both going to remember this conversation, but I remember because it was impactful to me. We were planning the podcast. We're in the very beginning stages, and I was on my way to the gym. It was an afternoon. I called you guys to talk about some
I do. I was at a
Oh,
driveway
I
of
do
a client in
remember.
Holliston. I do recall.
and I was like, dude, you know, like I just feel like a failure. Like I don't have, because I was working the bank and I was like so limited, and like it's like I had no control over my life, because you know when you work for somebody you're a slave. Like sorry, but that's what you are. You're a paid slave. You can't control your actions. You can't just leave work. You got to give satisfaction to someone, right? And that kind of, you guys told me like, dude, what are you talking about? And you started pointing out everything that I've accomplished. And I was like, holy crap, man. Like, I take so many things for granted. And because of that emptiness in my heart, it was not because of I didn't make enough money. It was not because I wasn't loved. It was not because I didn't grow up with my father, didn't grow up with my mom. All of those things were not relevant. It's just because I was shutting my heart to God, and there was always an emptiness in my heart that needed to be filled. And I was always feeling that, and I always feeling defeated. And in order for me to not feel defeated, I would have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. It's like a rat race. You don't move. No matter what you accomplish, dude, buy a house, buy a car, buy travel, do this, do that. Same place.
Man, I love that you touched upon that. And I love that you brought the subject of, oh, millionaires can be millionaires. They can accomplish things without Christ. One thing that stresses me out about society nowadays is this whole thing about truth. Your truth, my truth. There's no such thing as your truth or your truth or my truth. We all have different perspectives. The truth is one. Truth is a fact. Facts don't care about feelings. Ben Shapiro says it all the time. Why not search for the ultimate truth for the most important question of life? Why am I here? Why am I valuable? Why was I created? If you think that you came from evolution, I'm sorry, but your worldview, like you're an atheist, you have no value.
If
Unless
you
it's
believe
a
more in a Big Bang than a superior being.
Here's the thing about the Big Bang. It says that it was an explosion and everything came to be from that. The beginning of Genesis, it says, in the beginning, time, God created the heavens and the earth, space and matter. Like all those three things, like it says it in Genesis, and it's the scientific thing. Time, space, and matter came into existence at the same time. And it literally says, like it shows us that God is outside of those three components of life. You know what I mean? So, like if you think you came from evolution, I'm sorry, but you're literally saying you have no value in life. And the Bible tells us the reason why everybody as a human being has value is because man and woman were created in the image of God. So it's not something that, oh, I have value because of my own personal worldview. That's super selfish, and you're kind of trying to be your own God, right? You have value because something outside of space, matter, and time created you in its
His likeness.
in its resemblance, in its likeness. So like when people just don't try to search for truth for the most important question of life, I'm like, dude, what are you doing with your life, man? How do you have a purpose? Yeah, you're a millionaire, but how do you have a purpose? You know what I mean? And then people are like, oh, I hear this all the time. And also another thing that stresses me out, man. Oh, I believe that everybody should be loved. That's okay. What is love? How do you define love? Because love is not something that's tangible. What is the definition of love? If you're an atheist, you think that everything that happened here was a mistake. Everything that happened here, not a mistake, but it was just random. And nature tells us everything that has a structure, everything that has a pattern, everything that has a design, there's always a mind behind it. There's always a mind that created it. And
I want to talk about this real quick because it goes along with what you're saying, right? Dr. David Hawkins. This dude is a knight, okay? You know what you need to be knighted?
You have to have like a bunch of PhDs.
Dude, it's insane, okay? Like, it's crazy. This guy had all the reasons to be an atheist, okay? Because he's in the scientific world, right? Psychology and all these things, right? And he created this book, Power vs. Force. Strongly recommend you guys to read this, okay? I personally didn't finish. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I read like maybe 2/3 of it. But it's crazy, okay? Because here's the thing. This guy came to realization because he got deep. He's like, no one on earth has studied the brain like this guy, okay? And the deeper he got into it, he started to realize that there's a force. There's a force out there, the soul, okay? And, I mean, I don't want to spoil the book, but essentially he's saying that God is here. There has to be, okay? There has to be. There's no way to scientifically or rationalize it. So I want you guys to read this book and think about it, because it you will tell you it's what Rodrigo is saying, right? Energy, the universe. Oh, the universe conspires. Oh my God, it's such a coincidence. Right? Karma, dude.
Astrology.
Come on, the answer is stop trying to. It's like finance, man. In finance, we have these people that make the easy hard to sell you the hard. Like it's what they do. The answers are right there, man. Why are you trying to complicate it? I don't need a PhD in psychology to tell you, hey man, you get your butt to the gym. Let's work out together. Let's
even going to the gym. If you're on a low frequency, if you have chemical imbalances in your brain, going to the gym and breaking those muscle fibers will actually elevate and rewire your brain.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in the basement of your house, okay, and you're feeling depressed, dude, that's fine. Depression is a valid thing. I've had it in my family. I saw it. But here's the thing, dude. I'm going to tell you, that person that was depressed in my family, she was that kind of person that didn't want to do anything with her life before she even was diagnosed depressed for her entire life. So humans were created to be in communion, okay, to be in community. You got to socialize. You got to find people like-minded, and you will attract. I talked about the law of attraction earlier on. You will attract people that are like-minded. And if you're at a lower frequency and you need higher frequency people around you, I guarantee you, put it to the test before you judge me and say, hey, you shouldn't say that in public. Put it to the test. If you're fat, okay, if you're fat right now, I want you to put it to the test. Start hanging out with 4 bodybuilders, and I will tell you, you will not stay fat for long. If you're depressed, go hang out with people like Gabe. This dude is so full of energy. I didn't even trust this guy in the beginning, okay? Because he was so loving and stuff. I guarantee you, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change.
Gabe's like, he comes in the house today. Why do you guys think something's going on with me? I'm like, dude, because you're quiet. Oh, I can't be quiet.
There was something going on. And he was hiding. He was hiding the fact that he passed the license.
Because why do you guys assume that whenever I'm quiet, I'm down? Because it's true, man. You're never quiet.
Yeah.
You're always like super energetic.
If you're not making money, if you're broke, and you start hanging out with people that are making money, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna start making money
by association.
If you are not Christian and you start hanging out with Christians, what's gonna happen? You're gonna find the truth, the only truth there is.
Amen.
And here's how we go full circle is that when you're talking about all these things for you to start doing, the number one factor that's keeping people from doing these things is fear. So fear of finding new friends, fear of starting a job or quitting a job for that matter. So there's a quote that I read that it's super powerful, that it says, fear has killed many more dreams than failure ever has.
Absolutely.
Because it's not a matter of failing, because if you commit to something that you want to do, failure is just a part of the process. You readjust and you keep going. But if you fear starting, then you don't even get to see if you were meant for that or not. So if you fear leaving a certain group of friends and trying to find people that are going to help you elevate, whether it's physically speaking, like you said, like get to the gym, people that are going to help you be there. Financially speaking, you want to get out of your comfort zone and open a business, talk to some entrepreneurs, talk to people that have done it. So it's that fear, which is kind of the subject that we're trying to touch upon, is that all these
kind
things
of the common theme.
The common theme that's recurring, That when we talk about challenging yourself for things that you're comfortable at the moment, the number one factor I would probably say that it's fear, and that we need to overcome it. And God is one of those. I don't even know the word, but
the being that's gonna help you.
Yes,
that's gonna help that fear.
Yeah,
and also you gotta believe
drop
in yourself.
A bomb for Neil till
I gotta drop. I'm like, I need to drop a bomb for that because that was too much fire in like one sentence right there, man.
And guys, if you're listening to us, we got an announcement to make. This is the last episode of season 1 of TGC, okay? And what we're going to do is we want to take a week of a break because we want you guys to engage with us. We want to know what you guys want to hear. Okay, so we're gonna open a poll on Instagram. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. We want to hear what you guys would like us to talk about. We're gonna open up to the public. You guys are gonna choose the next 4 themes for the TGC. Okay, you guys will be able to message us, interact with us through social media, and that way for season 2, we can not only talk about the things that we believe are important, but we can hear your feedback and see what's important to you guys. Thank you very much for following us along with season 1, and be on the lookout for season 2.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.